Did you know so many couples really struggle when it comes to intimacy? As a licensed marriage and family therapist and trained sex therapist, I've seen thousands of couples on the brink of separation because they felt more like roommates than lovers. I've seen sexual rejection plague couples, especially ones in long-term relationships, and without the proper tools to overcome it, leaves us feeling frustrated, unwanted, and undesired. The biggest question I get asked is, how do we fix this? And to be honest, there is so much complexity when it comes to intimacy and desire, and there's no magic bullet to any of it. Common wisdom actually wants us to believe that it's one person's responsibility to fix the problem, when in fact, it absolutely is not. Creating a sex life you can be proud of is 100% on both of you. So together, we're going to explore what sexual rejection actually looks like and the steps you can take to do something about it. But here's the thing. Y'all know I'm not sharing anybody's real names, right? Because I'm not putting anybody's business out there. But what I will share with you is real life examples from the real sex lives of couples that I hear about every single day. And the story of Anna and Chris represents all of us in our pursuit of deeper intimacy. Anna is an attorney on the partner track, working over 60 hours a week and really struggling with work-life balance. And her husband, Chris, is a healthcare consultant who loves his job, but it's starting to take a toll on their relationship. After 10 years of marriage and 3 kids under 8, they're more like 2 ships passing in the night. And every single time either of them brings up the topic of intimacy, it's an argument. And after a while, they just stop talking about it altogether. Now, don't get me wrong. They love each other. They're besties. They're just not lovers. So they decided to bring back date night as a way for them to connect outside the kids, have adult conversations, or maybe more. So on this date night, Anna and Chris go to their favorite French restaurant, and they literally cannot stop laughing and eating their creamy mussels. They're having an incredible night together, and it feels like time is standing still. The smell of wood sage and sea salt in her hair, her beautiful brown eyes glistening in the candlelight, and her body in that black satin dress. It's starting to get super hot in Chris's head. And he has great expectations about how this night is going to end. So they grab the check and they head home. And he reaches out and pulls her close to him, and they share a passionate kiss and warm embrace. And he whispers in her ear, "Can we make love?" And Anna says, "Not tonight." Rejection sucks, right? We've all experienced the pain of rejection. Whether professionally, you not getting the job or the acknowledgement you deserve, a mean comment on social media, or the person that you love leaves you, it hurts. I certainly know a thing or two, or 3, about rejection. And listen, I have not been immune to it. But unlike other forms of rejection, not only does sexual rejection feel terrible, but it brings out our deepest fears and insecurities. We often feel so ashamed and inadequate. So we tend to shut down, blame our partners, or withdraw. Because after we've gone through the pain of rejection, the last thing we want to do is initiate and put ourselves back out there to go through that feeling again. If you've experienced this before, you're not alone. In fact, it's estimated that 1 in 5 married couples are intimate less than 10 times per year. Let me repeat that. 1 in 5 married couples are intimate less than 10 times per year, according to renowned sex therapist Dr. Barry McCarthy. And millions of couples feel stuck intimately, desperately trying to find a way out of their sexual ruts, but they don't know how or where to start. Some couples start to feel anxious and avoid anything that comes close to sex, sometimes including affection. And this creates a sexual stalemate because neither partner is getting the intimacy they desire. So couples make the really hard choice of compartmentalizing their intimacy and tucking away their sex lives to protect themselves and their partners from disappointment. This is incredibly problematic because when we ignore or shy away from addressing the elephant in the bedroom head on, we start to chip away at the spark of passion between partners until sexuality becomes an individual sport. We need to stop seeing sexual rejection as a verdict or the end of initiating intimacy and start seeing it as an opportunity, I would dare say an invitation, to reconnect with our partners in a very different way. We just need a bit of an updated perspective to help us move beyond our fears and doubts around sexual rejection so that we can finally have the courage to start articulating that it's way more than sex we're asking for. Anna ruminates to herself, Chris is a great father. I love him, but I don't love our intimacy. Truth be told, she doesn't feel 100% comfortable or sexy in her body after gaining weight with all 3 kids. And she loves spending time with her husband, but she knows as soon as they come home from date night, he's gonna wanna have sex. And she feels the weight of that pressure on her chest. Sometimes she just wishes that they can have more of an emotional connection before they jump into a physical one. But she can never tell him any of these things because it would hurt his feelings. And when that happens, he goes radio silent. So it's not worth bringing it up, and it's never worth the fight. In a common attempt to overcome sexual rejection, people often put the responsibility and focus on the low desire partner. Some couples in my office would argue that if we could just fix their partner or help them feel more desire, sex would be easier. Couples tell me that sex shouldn't be scheduled, it should be spontaneous and organic, or it doesn't count. Actually, by show of applause, clap if you've ever heard that sex should be more spontaneous or effortless or organic. I know, I've heard it too. Now, I want you to think about your definition of organic and how you believe intimacy should unfold. I think our answer reveals to us that we definitely have hidden expectations of what initiating intimacy should look like. And there has to be more to it than our partners responding to intimacy out of compliance. Now, when you're brave enough to ask your partner for sex, there actually needs to be a little bit more clarity behind what you're really yearning for and why you're seeking out intimacy to begin with. Is it sex you're asking for, or is there more? For instance, Chris has grown very frustrated over the lack of intimacy in their relationship and has made it very known. And he's been growing really resentful over the years because he doesn't want to be with anyone else. He just wants to be with Anna. And if they could just fix this little part of their relationship, he thinks their marriage would be fantastic. But Chris doesn't feel like a priority. He thinks the kids and the cats get way more attention and affection than he does. So Chris asks for sex, but what he really desires is to be wanted. To know that he's more than just a roommate or a co-parent. to believe that there's still a spark of passion left between them after all these years, and to feel special again. But here's the rub. We cannot go to sex hustling for our worthiness. We shouldn't step into that sacred sexual experience to validate our own self-worth and desirability, and we certainly shouldn't pass that hot potato off to our partners. When we make this mistake, it becomes less about pleasure and connection as a couple and more about you. The one thing I can tell you is that change in your sexual lives are inevitable, but it doesn't have to cripple your intimacy. Researchers at the University of Calgary, Drs. Andrea Beck and Dr. John Robinson, were studying sexual resilience in patients undergoing cancer treatment. Here's what they found. Satisfied couples were ones that were able to approach their intimacy with acceptance, flexibility, and persistence. Sexually resilient couples were ones that went through significant challenges, but were able to come out equally or more satisfied with their sexual relationship. You can practice sexual resilience through open communication and finally having the courage to address long-held sexual beliefs. You may have to confront the trauma that still lives inside of you that gets in the way of your ability to surrender to pleasure. You may have to grieve the loss of the body and sexual functioning you once had and embrace who you are and let go of thinking that sex is all about performance and orgasms and intercourse, because it really is not. Anna and Chris had to dig deep to do the work to overcome sexual rejection, and guess what? So will you. You will both have to take accountability and ownership for the state of your sexual union and hold safe space for one another as you explore some uncomfortable truths about your intimacy. To help, here are 3 takeaways. Number 1, initiating sex moving forward may be imperfect, but be committed to healing sexual resentments. Number 2, do what it takes to keep rediscovering each other over and over again. And number 3, don't reject your partner, redirect and initiate pleasure with no destination except for togetherness, curiosity, and play. You see, pleasure is inherently a vulnerable practice. Wherever you are on your intimate journey, this is calling all lovers, all genders, and all that want to experience the ecstasy of connection. Because sexual resilience is for the brave hearts that don't want to settle for lackluster intimacy or 2 ships passing in the night intimacy. Because you are so worthy and so deserving of soul-quaking connection. So, now when you go on that date night and have great expectations on how your night will end, and you go home and are brave enough to ask your partner for intimacy, and they say, "Not tonight," you'll know in your head and in your heart that what they're trying to say underneath it all is, I may not want sex, but I definitely, absolutely want you. Thank you.